Dear students, Kartikeya, generally described as the son of Shiva and Parvati, seems to have been conceived first as the offspring of Agni. Presuming from literature, numismatic and sculptural evidences, he seems to be very popular from the early period. The Dharma Sutra of Bodhayana contains reference to Skanda and his various names, that is Sanmukha, Jayanta, Visakha, Subramanya and Mahasena. The Mahabhashyas of Patanjali mention the image of Shiva, Skanda and Vishakha. A passage in the Mahamayuri, as suggested by Banerjee, shows that by the time it was written, Kartikeya and Kumara denoted the same deity. The same idea is conveyed by the Amarkosha, which enumerates a variety of names of Kartikeya. In the Ramayana, he is stated to be the son of the Kritikas. In the Mahabharata, he is represented as the son of Agni, but born from his wife Swaha. It is said that when he is brought before the gods to be witnessed by them, he is addressed as Rudra Putra, Rudra being an epithet of Agni. In the same epic, Kartikeya is mentioned as the offspring of Shiva and Parvati, who are said to have assumed the forms of Agni and Swaha respectively. The necessity of a commander for the army of the gods who suffered at the hands of the demons was the immediate cause of his birth. That his birth was caused from the seed of Shiva, which fell on the ground as a result of intervention of the gods during his long-lasting union with Parvati, that Shiva cast his seed into Agni, who threw it into the womb of the Ganges, deposited the seed into a respectable amongst the Sarvah on the top of the Mount Meru, that it was nurtured by the Kritikas, and that ultimately the divine child with 6 faces was born. Epithets. Rao T.A. pointed out that most of his epithets have reference to the circumstances of his birth. Thus, being born from the discharged seed of Shiva, he came to be known as Skanda, as the seed was cast by Shiva into Agni, who threw it into the womb of the Ganges. He was called Agni Bhu and Ganga Putra. The fetus having been transferred into the 6 Kritikas, he was named as Kartikeya. According to another version, Ganga placed the seed in a thickest of reeds into a respect from which he came out after 6 days, and so he was called Saranjana and Goha. Having been nurtured by the 6 Kritikas, he came to possess his 6 faces, and as such he was called Sanmukha and Sananda. He commanded the army of the gods, hence he was named Deva Senapati. He vanquished the demon Taraka, from which he earned the epithet Tarakari. He passed the name of Kanchabhita. Kumara suggests the figure of youth and spirit. Brahya Samhita has been found prescribing a youthful appearance for his image. Kartikeya is associated with a spear as his main attribute, a peacock as his vahana, and a cock as his emblem. Kartikeya is a solar deity, as cock is well known to be harbinger of the rising sun. His iconography is quite significant. In the Brihat Samhita, Kartikeya is described as being youthful in appearance, having a spear in his hand and a peacock as his main object of cognizance. The Vishnu Dharmottara explains a 6-headed figure under the name of Kumara with 6 faces, decorated with the Sikandaka type of coiffure, dressed in red garment, riding on a noble peacock, holding a cock and a bell in his right hand, and a victory flag and a spear in the left ones. He has 4 hands. The Samrangana Sutradhara describe the images of Kartikeya very elaborately. He is represented like the rising sun, clothed in a red garment, having a fiery red color. He is required to give a garland of muktamani. He can have either 6 hands or only 1 head. In the town, he is to be adorned with 12 arms. In the Kartikeya, with 6 arms, and in a village with 2 arms. In the 12-armed variety, his 5 right hands are to carry Shakti, arrow, sword, mudgar, masniti, and the 6th one to be shown spreading. And the 5 left hands are to be shown bow, flag of victory, ghanta, Kartikeya, cock, and the Samvardhana poses. This form is fit for him as a commander of the army of the gods. In his mild form, he is to be shown full of play and sports with goat, cock, and peacock extra, and this form is suited for the town. In the Kartikeyas, he is shown with 6 hands, glowing with fire, sharp weapons, and wearing garlands. In a village, he is to be provided with 2 arms, holding Shakti and cock in them. In the Matsya Puran, in a rustic town, his image is required to have 12 arms in a Kharpata form, while in a forest or a village only 2 arms. In the Agamas and Tantras, a large number of varieties of images of Kartikeya such as Shaktidhara, Skanda, Senapati, Subramanya, Gajavahana, Sarvavahana, Kartikeya, Kumara, Sanmukha, Tarakari, Brahma Sastha, Vali Kalyana Sundari Murti, Vala Swami, Kalcha Bhita, Shikhivahana, Janana Shakti, Desika, and others. Iconographically more developed is the figure of the god is in the Mathura Museum, assignable to the 2nd century AD. The deity, although standing, is shown holding a long spear and a cock in the left ones. In Gandhara art, the image of Kartikeya is shown with spear and cock. Like the North Indian image of Surya, Kartikeya is shown with high boots on which characteristically illustrates his connection with Surya in the capacity of a solar deity. In the Gupta period, he is certainly depicted seated on the back of his vehicle. The Bilsad stone inscription of AD 414 and 15 mentions of additional gallery to the shrine of Kartikeya called Mahasena. One of the panels attached to the Brahmical temple at Nalanda shows the figure of Kartikeya. The 2-armed god has been represented standing with a slight bend in his body, holding his snake by his left hand. At the right, the peacock has been drawn naturalistically. The superb image of Kartikeya is from Haritora temple of Basra. The deity sits on the peacock that has spread its wings on sideways. He holds a long spear in one hand and the citrus fruit in the other. He is from Palla period. One carved image of Kartikeya is in the collection of National Museum, New Delhi. He is squatting on his mount, the peacock, and carrying a spear. His hair is typically arranged in the fashion of 3 Sekandakasana. He wears circular earrings, crescent-shaped necklace, and other ornaments. Its spread plume serves as a halo for the god. The 2-armed figure from Nagar, Rajasthan, shown distinct influence of Gupta tradition. Bearing some resemblance to the well-known Bharat Kala Bhavan image, the deity with a Sekandaka, coiffure and wearing an Ikavali necklace is shown seated on his mount. A red sandstone from Kakuni in the museum and Saraswati Bandharkar at Kota is another important sculptured specimen of early medieval art in Rajasthan. He is seated on his peacock and has 6 arms. He is feeding his peacock with a ball of sweets in the hand and has a bow and arrow and shield in the left hands. He carries a sword, a spear, a quivering hanging behind. He is the tutelary war god. The 2 females are on the right and left. The figure of Kartikeya from Virat, now in Jaipur Museum, is also 6-armed. He has 3 heads sitting in Lalit Asana on a lotus with peacock below. He is 6-handed. He wears a kavli and the peacock is turning his neck to his master. A singular example of the Gupta period of Kartikeya mounted on peacock. The plume is like a halo behind. 4-faced Brahma and Shiva on the right and the left are shown pouring the water from the jars on the head of Kartikeya. Kartikeya makes his appearance in Odisha in the role of a Parsva Devata on the body of the temples. The image of Kartikeya can be divided into 2 classes on the basis of the absence or the presence of the figure of the cock. The 2-armed Kartikeya in the Parsvaneswara temple at Bhubaneswara is seated on a low stool with a long spear and Vija Puraka in the right and his mount being carved on the pedestal as killing a serpent. In the Lingaraja temple, the god is seated astride on the back of his mount with its tail feathers outspread at the back. He is attended by Brahma and Shiva on the right and the left. The image of Kartikeya associated with a cock generally standing 4-armed, though 2-armed and even seated varieties are not unknown. Kartikeya with a cock as its emblem appears in Odisha for the first time on the Mukteshwara temple at Bhubaneswara, where he is depicted as 2-armed, seated on his right leg hanging down and the bird held in his left hand placed on his thigh, the right hand hanging down with the palm upturned and the peacock shown on the right. 2-armed figure of the deity from Puri is the best example of the medieval art. He is standing in a slightly graceful pose and his left hand is placed on a cock, which is held upwards by a female attendant on the god's left side. The image of Kartikeya in the Siddheshwara temple, Bhubaneswara, Chuduru, Kapileshwara temple and the Lingaraja temple are quite interesting. Stone images of Kartikeya are rare in Bengal and Assam. Very few belong to the medieval period, which follow the manner of Gupta sculpture, that is usually 2-armed with a spear in one of the hands and riding his mount, the peacock. A beautiful image from Dinapur, Calcutta and from North Bengal are with 4-armed with all the common traits. Stylistically, it goes to 11th century AD. Kartikeya has rarely represented as dancing. The best example of the dancing Kartikeya is from Choti Khatayu, Rajasthan. Representations of Kartikeya as Brahma Sasta is from Gurchara Pratihara period, datable in century 8th AD. Now in the Gwalior Museum representing Kartikeya as the divine teacher, holding a manuscript in his upper right hand. He is holding some object at which his mount is pecking with a great relish. He is carrying a flower in his upper left hand. The lower left hand is peeling. His coiffure is in the typical Sikasaka fashion, and he puts on a number of ornaments. A female is standing nearby to his proper left with both her palms joined in Anjali Mudra. One more image of the same theme is in the collection of Amber Museum. In the early centuries of the Christian era, Kartikeya is shown on the Dambra and the Jyoti coins as a warrior standing with a spear in his hand. He is also shown with 6 heads on the Yahudi coins but having 2 arms only. The Kushandra sculpture as well, belonging to the 1st to 2nd century AD, represent the god similarly with a spear in his hand, the right hand being displayed in the Varda Mudra. A specimen of latest Gandhara art shown him with high boots on, thereby indicating him to be a solar deity. In some sculptures, the deity is found anointed as the general rising of the gods by Brahma and Shiva. Same images combined in the medieval period. Kartikeya is one of the most popular deities in South India. Gopinatha Rao has illustrated a number of images of Kartikeya in his work on Hindu iconography. In most cases, he is shown with 4 arms, carrying Shakti and Vajra in the back hands and displaying Varda and Abhay by the front ones. Usually represented as standing, he is sometimes accompanied by his Vahana, the peacock. The fine Devasena Kalyana Sundara Murti from Tiruppa Rankaram, illustrating the marriage of Kartikeya with Devasena, is based on the Kalyana Sundara image of Shiva. The North Indian Sadhananda image of Kartikeya have either 2 or 4 arms only. It is interesting to note the figure of Kartikeya on the coins of Jalsias of the 2nd century AD contains not only the figure of Kartikeya but also bear legends which mentions his name. He appears in anthropomorphic form with 6 heads. The legend is of Brahmanya, the divine lord of the Jyotis and of Kumara, the divine lord Brahma and Deva. They believed Kartikeya, the great ruler. The terracotta seal of the 3rd or early 4th century AD at Bhita contains legend of Mahasena, that is Kartikeya, who issued coins on the name of Sakanda, Kumara, Visakha and Mahasena. It is no less significant to note that Kumara Gupta first substituted the peacock for the Garuda symbol and his Kartikeya type of gold coins. Thank you.